Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's the World Rapid and Blitz Chess Championships here at the end of 2023. Two of the three most recognized titles in chess are up for grabs. This is day number 2. I will recap many games for you, many fun moments. Magnus Carlson swearing and yelling at himself at the board, for example, some amazing combative chess, and as always, drama. On day 1 of the World Rapid Championship yesterday, Jan Nepomniachtchi put out a tweet essentially saying that Magnus Carlson has access to a private personal lounge in between the rounds and access to a laptop. That was then widely discussed on social media. Both Magnus and his father said, like, he doesn't have an access to a laptop this year. In the past, they were all allowed to have access. Now, apparently, they're not. Anyway, that was like day 1. Today on day 2, shoes are the main point of the drama. Shoes. Because today, this happened. Anna-Maya Kazarian, who is a Dutch streamer, she's rated like 2,200 FIDE as well. You take a look at this, was found to be violating the dress code of the tournament. At the bottom, you see her shoes. Now, from here, they might look like Converse sneakers, but they're actually Burberry, dressy, sneaker-type shoes. Now, the dress code at the international governing body, let me pause there. She was told to change them and then was given a fine. She was given an official warning and a fine. And if you read the bottom, it says, continuing infringements will be removal from the tournament. Okay, that's crazy. There are dress codes at these types of events because they want to, give the impression that chess is like a very sophisticated, elegant game. But a bunch of the top players are in hoodies. They're in like t-shirts underneath their sports coats. The whole thing is so ridiculous. I mean, it's not like people are playing shirtless at these events. These are shoes. Anna Maya's outfit was a full dress. She was in a full dress, like a dinner dress, and she was wearing Burberry shoes. And they're fining her €100. I mean, the whole thing is. And then they put out this tweet. This was really funny. Players can unwind in the lounge area between rounds in the World Championships. I don't know if this was the social media director being a genius, but that's Jan Nepomniachtchi on the left. Jan Nepomniachtchi is sitting with a phone in his hand, headphones on his head. Those shoes are also sneakers. Like, they're dressier sneakers. The whole thing is just so absurd. I really hope they rescind the fine. I don't even understand why these events have these dress codes, because nobody is like violating them egregiously. I'm speechless at the decision making of the international governing body of the game. I just am. I am. And yeah, anyway. Magnus Carlson versus Vidit Gujarati will kick us off today. Vidit with a 4.5 out of 5 performance on day number 1. He opens up with d4. We have knight f6. As always, we're going to cover some very big games. We're going to look at Prodigy Watch. We're going to check in with some games from the women's championship as well, and then we will end with a game where Magnus Carlson was cursing at himself at the chessboard. So beautiful stuff. All right, Vidit plays the Catalan because it's his bread and butter. It is the opening that he plays. It's his roti and what goes well with, I don't know, but the Indians in the I was just about to say in the chat, I'm not live streaming, in the comments will educate me. Like, what is the pairing? You eat roti with, maybe you don't eat roti with anything. I'm an American, okay? Like, here we have butter chicken and chicken tikka masala. Like, that's what we, bishop d2. Takes. Bishop g2. Magnus plays a very solid line, plays very solidly. Look at this. Very solid play by Magnus. Just develops all his pieces. Vidit puts his rooks. Magnus brings his rook. And now Vidit plays this move, queen f4. Okay. So, what now? White has a slight space advantage. We have tension here. Nobody wants to take. Black doesn't want to give his opponent 2 center pawns for no reason. White maybe wants to go for e4. Definitely will consider h4 as well. Will potentially consider same side attack. Magnus plays bishop a6. So Magnus targets Vidit's pawn. Now Vidit does take. Vidit takes because the bishop doesn't have a target anymore. Pawn takes d5. Now potentially opening up the same side c-file. Also, the same side capture means that this knight is offside. Like, the knight would potentially be better on that square, but of course the knight will maybe reroute. Position is still very much in the balance. And now Vidit just goes to attack Magnus. Vidit just goes for an attack. Plays g5, and then he plays h4. So Vidit is not, he is not showing any signs of being nervous or afraid. He plays g5, h4. Magnus will likely try to reroute the knight to the f5 square, but not too fast because, of course, there is h5, and Vidit's going to try to take advantage of the weak and dark squares. All right, bishop h3. He's protecting the knight from coming to the f5 square, rook c7. And now Magnus is doubling up on the c file. Now Vidit decides, I want to trade the knights. Magnus says, I'd like to keep the tension. Vidit trades and says, no, I really, did I say knights? I'd like to trade the knights. Did I say, I meant the rooks. The rooks. Too much dress code conversation. And you see Vidit here should have fully justified the play. Vidit should have played queen c3. That's what Vidit should have done. But instead of that, he played queen a3. Magnus plays bishop e2 attacking his knight. Vidit defends it. And what ends up happening now is we trade and we have a totally symmetrical position. We have all the same pawns. Both sides don't have a c-pawn. And this is something that Vidit probably wanted to avoid because now he is in this position against the best endgame player probably of all time who's going to try to take advantage of the smallest of imbalances. Now, there is a universe in which the queens had been traded a long time ago, and this is probably just a draw. But now Magnus is going to try to keep pawns on, and Vidit's going to start getting lower and lower on time. We have knight f6. Now Vidit down to below 3 minutes. Magnus grabs the pawn. He's going to work that Magnesian magic. All right? Knight e5. He's going to work some of that Norwegian juju stuff he's got going on. Look, a5. It's just knights. It's just knights. Vidit defending his pawn. Magnus plays knight e4. All right? Now he's going to start dancing with the horses. All right? Magnus has a 2-minute time advantage. He's trying to go to a single knight endgame. It's a completely equal position, though. Vidit, a minute on the clock, goes for some trades. Wants to trade off pawns. Knight d3. Now Magnus transfers the knights. f6. Knight e4. Here comes Magnus's king. All right, now we're... Whoa. The pawn that Vidit put out there like 30 moves ago when he was attacking Magnus. All this. g4. In the long run, these pawns are potentially going to be weaknesses. And that was move 18. And now we fast forward to move 54, 36 moves later, and the pawn has fallen. And Magnus is still up a pawn. It's maybe drawable with best play. Vidit tries to fight in the center, but Magnus just brings the king. And it's... When you play Magnus in an endgame, it's like getting caught in a whirlpool. I mean, it's just a matter of time. And the pawns are too far apart. They're just too far apart. You're not going to be able to stop them. You can go for this pawn, but I'm going to make a queen. And Magnus gets the job done. Tough game for Vidit because he actually was really keeping close with Magnus there for a while, but he's just really good at endgames. I mean, that's just the truth. I mean, what can I say? Now, Arjun Erigaisi, Vladimir Fedoseev. Erigaisi needs to win the event. That is the pressure on Erigaisi's shoulders. We have a Spanish, we have a Berlin, we have no Berlin. Nope, D3 played by Erigaisi. By the way, their ratings are different. Erigaisi is actually like 27-20, but their ratings are different because these are rapid ratings. Bishop D6. Okay, bishop A4. Very interesting position. C3, rook E8. Now Fedoseev's going to get the bishop out of the center, shuffling to its home square, potentially going this way, or he's going to try to play for D5. Okay, D4, so now he has to play a little bit more passively. Now he goes for the bishop. He's going to get the bishop. He's going to get Erigaisi's bishop. Erigaisi's going to attack his pawns. Bishop D7, and he grabs the bishop. And he undevelops the knight. He undevelops the knight, and he's saying, Arjun, that's a free pawn. You see it? You want it? You like it? I got it. That was a very butchered 7 rings by Ariana Grande. Rook F1, C5. Look at this. Fedoseev trying to fight with all his pawns. Meanwhile, Erigaisi's got potential attacking ideas over there. Take. Erigaisi says, let me get that. Target the bishop. Target the pawn on F7. Easy defensive move here. Bishop E6. Now Erigaisi dances around with the knight to the F4 square. Slowly, he's going to probably plop that knight into D5 and then just fire away on F7. Very complicated game. Now we have AB. Erigaisi trades the rooks, and he plays Queen H5. Pressure there, pressure there, pressure there, pressure on all of those pawns. And remember, Fedoseev is he's down a pawn. He's down a pawn. So Queen B8. Knight f3, bishop c4, and we get into this mad scramble. What? Fedoseev is using the g-pawn. He's using the pawn in front of his king. And where's Arjun's queen going? Nowhere. It's getting forked. So he's got to come back. He's got to pin the pawn to the king. Now we have a trade. Bishop g7 blocks the pin, so the knight is hanging. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Black is down a pawn, yet he is the one playing for a win. That is what we call Chad behavior. This man is playing for a win. It doesn't matter that he's a pawn down, because he doesn't care. He's trying to win the game at all costs. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible stuff. Now, we have bishop e6. I'm mildly distracted because I just realized I forgot to include a game in today's recap, and I'm going to include it live on air. Like, I'm going to put in the game because it's so completely ridiculous that I have to show it to you after we cover this game. King g2, bishop b1, and my man Vladimir Fedoseev completely walks down Arjun's pieces, gets into an endgame where he's just better, and goes from a pawn down to a pawn up, and is just completely winning. What is that? What is chess.com doing? Oh my goodness. Whoa, what was that about? Goodness me. What was that? What, this whole recap is cursed. Oh my god, I can't even go forward quickly because... Alright. King g4. Rook c6. And that pawn is just too strong. That pawn is going to make it the entire length of the board. And my man Fedoseev cleans up house. Bishop e5, rook f6, rook c6. And he's going to get the rook down to the first rank. And he's going to promote. And that's exactly what he does. Slowly but surely. If this chess.com apparatus does not break again. What a cursed recap. This is a very... I'm having a very goofy time here. This pawn is ultimately the hero. The amazing thing about this game was that Fedoseev managed to do this while just being a clean pawn down. Like, he just straight up played this whole game clean pawn down. Very, very impressive stuff from him. Now, I'm really scared. I kind of don't want to refresh because I feel like if I refresh, everything is going to break. So, on the women's section, we had Miao Yilu, who's 13 years of age from China. And yesterday, she took down the women's world challenger, and she drew the challenge. She drew the world champ. I mean, this is crap. What is going on today? Okay, let's just hold on. I think it's the dress code. We need a little timeout. I've never taken a timeout in the video, but I think I'm just gonna take a deep breath, reset. Okay. I don't know what's happening today. But I definitely, the rest of this recap is going to be fire. All right. I mean, yeah, the pieces moving like that really caught me off guard, because if that's going to happen, that's going to be really annoying. This is a Spanish 13-year-old prodigy from China playing against very strong Polish player Kielbasa, and this game was nuts. So Kielbasa early on just goes for a monster attack. Look at this. She puts all her pieces on the king side. She's attacking the young superstar from China. Superstar from China plays knight d5, knight g5, starts firing back with her own pieces, trades the queens because, you know, if there's no queens on the board, you're not going to get mated. Now we have c6, we have h6, and the knight goes back. That pawn has been hanging for like 10 moves. And Black says, you know, I don't care about the pawn. I don't care about the pawn. I'm just going to smash open the center. The bishop cuts the king. The bishop is coming here. We're going to open up our knights. We're going to open up the rook. White is going to try to promote over here. d3. Black marches into the white position with f4. We have takes. Locking the door, but now c5, ripping open the queen side. It's like Black has a pawn at the right moment every single time. Here comes bishop g4. Bishop f3 ideas look like checkmate. e5. Knight comes into h4. This is literally a checkmate threat. Now it's made because bishop g2, you take. White has 20 seconds. She plays knight g1. Black walks in with the pawn, but it's a mistake. Black should have played knight, I think bishop f5 here, or bishop e6 was the winning idea. But instead, oh my goodness, this is a queen, but she can take. And she loses the rook. But when the dust settles, White has a passed pawn. And another monster win for Miao Yilu, who has just been destroying in this event. She brings her king back to safety. Black tries to still go for mate, but the queen is on the board. The queen is on the board, so the black pieces are distracted. They're going to have to trade. And when it's all said and done, white is just completely winning. Up a full bishop. Miao Yilu is destroying people in this tournament. She beat Lei Tingjie. She beat she beat Olivia Kielbasa. She drew against Ju Wenjun. She is on fire. She is absolutely on fire. Another matchup from the women's side, Anastasia Bodnaruk. I mean, Rook is literally in her name. How are you going to compete with this individual? Seriously. E4, C5. We have Bishop B5. This is actually, this is a line that I've been playing a lot recently. Not Bishop C4. I've been playing Knight F3. But I really like these systems because they lead to some super complex, imbalanced positions. Takes. And now white just gets a big center. White plays Bishop C2, Bishop E3, and just enjoys a very, very pleasant position. Bodnaruk plays Rook C1, and now it's time to attack. Knight to G3, Queen to H5, and clearly just playing for a checkmate. Knight goes to G6, Knight goes to F5. Bodnaruk is just trying to checkmate the Grandmaster opponent from China. Knight on F5, Bishop's pointed at the king. Queen G4, poking, prodding, whoop. Queen is hanging. Eyes there. H4, H5 on the way potentially. How can we break into the position? Let's start by trading. You can't take with the knight because this is mate. And now I want to trade the bishops. I want to open up my rook. That's the idea. Bishop takes. But it's not that I want to take like this. In this position, she plays Bishop F7. An amazing tactical sacrifice. The idea is to not only take like this and have the rook in the game, it's to play Rook C7. When the bishop took on E3, it removed itself as a defender of C7, white breaks through, and the king is collapsing. We are going to take, we have tripled pawns, but you know what hurts more than tripled pawns? Checkmate. Checkmate hurts more than tripled pawns. We sack the rook to get the queen in, but when the dust settles, as always, there's an escape path, we grab a bishop, we're on our way out. And the person winning the women's section after 2 days of play is actually Anastasia Bodnaruk, who has, I believe, 7 points out of 8. I gotta check that, but I believe it's 7 out of 8. That's pretty monstrous. Or maybe it's 7 out of 8. Yep, 7 out of 8. While we're here, it's time to check in on Prodigies. Let's check in on Prodigies. And you know, I told you I was going to add a game. Well, here we go. I am about to add a game that I was going to tell you about. Prodigy watch in this event is completely insane. The young superstars around the world. This is Roman Shogdriev, and this is Johann Sebastian Christensen, who is a Norwegian grandmaster. All right. He's a Norwegian grandmaster. I'm not going to pull up their photos yet. It's going to take a little bit of time. This is an 8-year-old Russian kid who is rated 2000. They play a fried liver. They play some cutting-edge theory, some good stuff. All right? We get to a position that's pretty much in the balance. Queen E4, F5. And we simplify down. Knight goes back to F3. And the 8-year-old kid against the experienced veteran grandmaster is gonna try to win an endgame. He grabs himself a pawn, rook E7, he comes back, B5, trying to put more pressure, and now E4. Christensen is looking to create a fight. C4, whoa, look at that. If you take on D3, I'm gonna play Knight E5 and maybe get my pawn on B7. So Christensen plays rook D6. Now C5, chasing the rook down. Very tactical, complicated game. You can't take the pawn because of a fork. So rook A6. But now pawn takes, and now rook E1, I'm trying to win your pawn. Rook E8, knight B5, still looking for forks, trying to kick you out. Knight goes back to C3, and now we grab the pawn, and maybe rook B1, maybe knight E7, ideas all over the place, rook E5, rook D1, balance game, we're in a scramble, less than a minute, knight B4, rook E1, checking again, now we're grabbing some pawns, we're down to very, very limited pawns, knight D3, knight C4, shuffling, we've now made it to 50 moves, king G2. Okay, Roman is just taking his time. Knight before check, knight D3. Oh my goodness, knight E5. Is the young kid winning? Is the 8-year-old 2000 gonna be, oh my god, he's got pawns. I'm not sure, his pawns are faster than his opponent's pawns. They're off to the races, H6, H7. Oh my goodness, rook D, oh, he's winning. He's gonna win the game. They promote and he's gonna, 8-year-old kid just beat a 2500 level GM. Johann Sebastian is like 2600 FIDE. This dude is 8. He's an 8-year-old. This might be a record. Literally, this might be a record at this tournament. I'm pretty sure I saw that Roman Shogziev is 8 years old. If he's not, if he's like 20, I don't think he's 20. That's insane. Other Prodigy watch. We have Faustino Oro. Faustino is the Argentinian kid. He's 10 years of age, and there's got to be more in this event. Faustino is playing against Denis Hismatulin, Russian Grandmaster. This is a Philidor defense. The game itself is very much in the balance. It's quite complicated. It's a lot of maneuvering, a lot of tension among the pieces. And what happens is they trade off a lot of pieces and get this position where they have the same pawns on this side of the board, and these pawns are probably these pawns are probably just going to fall off and die. That's probably what's going to happen. All right. So G6, Knight H4. But the thing is, Hismatulin wants to beat the young man, but how's he going to do that? How's he going to beat him? I mean, really, how do you beat a child anyway? Rook D6, take that clip out of context, in chess. Rook B3, King G7, it's a balanced game, but black doesn't have a lot of time. Look how fast Faustino is playing. He has a massive time advantage. And what happens in this game, I think you know where this is headed, my friends. Faustino's just a pawn up. In the scramble, Dennis there's not much he can do. So now he has to play to not lose. He was playing maybe to win earlier because, you know, he's more experienced, he's higher rated. But instead of that, with 10 seconds on the clock, King G8, Knight G4 here is winning. But Faustino misses it, but he gets another chance because black is geometrically stuck. He can't move. Queen D8 check. You have to block, you're gonna lose the knight. Faustino Oro takes down a 2500 level GM. These are 8 and 10-year-old children. Faustino is crushing, by the way. He's having an incredible run. This guy really is the Messi of chess. I am not joking. It is really incredible stuff. Now, another matchup to determine who is going to be at the top. We have Bharat Subramaniam, who's a young grandmaster from India. He's a beast, by the way, like in his whole career. And here, he was like 6 out of 7. He's playing Yu Yangyi from China. This was a very instructive game. It was a very, very locked Caro Kann. It was a Caro Kann defense where the position, I mean, this is goofy goober behavior with king to e2. The position gets very locked early. They trade a lot of pieces, and we'll get there in a second. We're going to get one more trade. There we go. So we have this position. This is what we have to work with. White, obviously, I mean, this is some two sets of double G pawns, open F and open H files. The way you play close positions is you look for your infiltration spots. You look for the most optimal places to place your pieces. So boink, 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 boink. Apply maximum pressure to your opponent's weaknesses, and you need a pawn break. So both sides only have one pawn break. So the position is almost completely dead, but it's not. And now Yu Yangyi has to defend himself. He's got a poke and he's got a prod. He's gonna find it, maybe try to find his way. And you see, there's the repositioning now. At some point, B3 is a major move because then you're going to just try to bulldoze. That's what you're going to try to do. Bharat is waiting, but he's down a lot on time. King D2, King C2. Now Yu Yangyi zips down the other way. And this one absent-minded move, Rook C7, is going to cost him. Why? Because of this. This is a gorgeous idea. Look at this idea. Letting the Rook die. Letting the Rook completely die in the corner because there's a discovered check that's going to win a pawn and get the Rook back. And Bharat is unfortunately losing. The pawn falls and the infiltration has occurred. You can create counterplay, but there's nothing. And the problem is that you have too many weak pawns. So Yu Yangyi, patient game, slowly bided his time, took his time, knight d6. He's going to win the pawns. And like a carousel on the other side of the board, they're just all going to go now. All the pawns are going to go. There is absolutely no way to stop them. Yu Yangyi, a very, very nice win. This one goes into the 70s. Did it make it to the 80s? No, made it 77 moves. And this pawn's just not getting there in time. And Bharat resigned. So Yu Yangyi clutches it out. Fedosseev clutches it out. Magnus Carlson clutching it out as well. But in this game, Magnus was cursing himself. This is a very uncharacteristic game from Magnus. A game that we generally see him win like a hot knife through butter. He's playing against Vincent Keimer, very, very strong German player, top 15 in the world now. It's a Spanish, it's knight c3, a sideline. I think Magnus played this yesterday. Big sideline, because generally white tries to use these pawns like this. So we have b5, d6, normal stuff, bishop g4. Keimer trades the bishop, and then damages Magnus's pawns. But Magnus wanted that, as you can tell from his time spent, because he gets a very quick d4. You may wonder, why did this not happen? I think Keimer did not want to give away the d5 square. I think now d3, and then bishop g5, and then this is misery. Allowing this knight to live there is the Maroon 5 song. I am in misery. I don't know why this turned into karaoke, but it is what it is. Castles, d4. And, well, here's Magnus doing typical Magnus stuff. No queen trade. Magnus not thinking. Not thinking at all. Look at this. Every move. He's not thinking at all. A4. Trying to get Keimer to come here so then he can reposition the knight on the c4 square. Keimer says no. Rook c1. Rook d1. Maybe we're going to get... Yeah, there's a knight reposition occurring. Knight goes to d2. Typical Magnus stuff. Repositioning his pieces. Creates imbalance. He wants knight versus bishop. Or maybe he wants to damage the pawns. He wants knight versus bishop. Look at this. Look how fast Magnus is playing. He's up 10 minutes on the clock. This is a 15-minute game of chess, and this dude is up 10 minutes on the clock. That is unbelievable. Rook b6 takes. Keimer, okay, gives away the c6 pawn. Magnus doesn't want it yet. Rook b8. Rook d3. Rock solid defending. He's stalling a little bit because Keimer has 2 minutes. He has 2.5 minutes to defend himself. Rook b3. At some point, Keimer's going to do something goofy. Now we have a queen versus knight endgame. This is typical Magnus behavior. He's going to try to put as much pressure here. Now he trades the queens. That's a big decision, but he's got weaknesses to work with, and the king is very fast. You see, Black's king is a little bit slow. Like, the bishop's got to get out of the way. He's got to play defense. Bishop d8. Giving up the pawn. Whoa. But you can't take it, because actually the knight is trapped. Very clever defending. King g6. Magnus is up 10 minutes. His opponent has 90 seconds left for the entire game. At some point, his nervous system's simply going to get overloaded. Knight e7. King f1. Knight d5. Oh my goodness. Here comes f5. Wait a minute. There was a moment here. Magnus had he had a big opportunity. It was knight c8, knight a7, bishop c7, and then around here, knight f5 was the computer's choice. Force the bishop back, go here, and then the second you get kicked out, you reposition. The king can't really go here because king d3 and knight d5 kicks the knight out, which is a nice way to get mated. Magnus had to reposition his knight to not to d5, but to f5. But he went here, and suddenly, Vincent Keimer, with 20 seconds on the clock, 20 seconds versus 10:50. This is a 15-minute game of chess, and a guy has a near 11-minute time advantage. 10.5 minutes. That is wild. He's up 70% of the entire allotted time. But Vincent Keimer defends himself, and right here, Magnus was cursing. There's a moment of him on camera where he literally was just like, he leaned back. He couldn't believe it. I mean, this is how Magnus has ruined careers. We just saw the game against, we just saw the Vidit game. Completely dead symmetrical knight endgame. He always works a magic. But in this game, he lets an opportunity slip, and Keimer, ridiculous defending, a sensational defensive effort, and he ends up in a position, he's a pawn up. He's a pawn up, but there are still chances for white, but there's nothing he can do. And, Magnus can work as much magic as he wants, but he's not winning this game. So this one ends in a draw. An incredible, Herculean defensive effort from the young man from Germany. Amazing game from Vincent Keimer. And these are the standings after 2 days. 7-7-7 for Carlson, Fedeseev, Yu Yang Yi. That's why I covered their games. But 2 Indians up top as well. Eric Gainsi and Bharat Subramaniam. We also have Vidit there with 6.5. They are half a point out of first place. I did not mean to cover 3 games where Indians lost today. That's just sort of how it shook out. There was a lot of draws. Anastasia Bodnaruk with 7 leading the women's. We have Humpy Konaru. A lot of Indians up top. I mean, just amazing. She's half a point out of first place. She still has a great chance to win it. Chess drama, as always. Dress codes being violated. Personal laptops and lounges and headphones and everything. And I can't wait for the event to conclude tomorrow, and then the World Blitz begins. Friendly reminder, holiday sale is still going on. You can fulfill a New Year's resolution or get a friend a present. Till next time, though, get out of here.